We saw much more of a symbolic meeting, I suppose you could call it, when Trump met with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Can we expect more substance from this meeting with Putin?
I think it's hard to tell what kind of substance is going to come out. It's somewhat troubling that it's right after the NATO summit. President Trump tends to play these things from the hip, and so it's really kind of hard to tell if there's any real substance coming out of it at all. I know that Putin will have certain minimalist and maximalist goals that he'll have going into the summit.
Now, for Americans, at least, the election meddling scandal is, of course, top of mind. Trump tweeted this today. Take a listen.
Russia continues to say that they had nothing to do with meddling in our election. Where is the DNC server, and why didn't shady James Comey and the now disgraced FBI agents take and closely examine it? Why isn't Hillary in Russia being looked at? So many questions, so much corruption.
Now, Jeffrey, this comes, of course, after National Security Advisor John Bolton said that the pair would discuss the election meddling when they meet. So what is Trump trying to set up here?
I think Trump is trying to do what he's done all along. He's trying to sow some doubt among his base as to whether or not the claims of Russian meddling were actually true. But I don't think there's a consensus here in D.C. and certainly within the intelligence community, of which I was a part during this, that the Russians did fully intend and did actually meddle in our elections.
Now, you mentioned the fact, of course, that this summit is set to take place just days after the NATO summit. We know that American allies are very nervous about the growing closeness between Washington and Moscow. Should they be?
I think they should be concerned about what Trump may do or say during the summit. When you think about it, both are coming at this from very different perspectives. Putin and his staff will have mapped out every possible way this dialogue could go, and he'll have answers for any particular questions. He'll also be prepared to take advantage of any kind of left field comments that President Trump may make. And I think at a minimum, he kind of has his minimum goal of having a summit with the president. A kind of maximal goal from him would be some kind of statement from Trump saying that he thinks we need to renegotiate the security situation in Europe, or that we need to respect Russian spheres of influence and things of that nature.
Talking about Russian spheres of influence, Russia has been blamed just this week for breaking a ceasefire agreement in Syria, in which the US and Jordan worked painstakingly with them to strike. Now, this Syrian offensive could cause a major humanitarian crisis. How thorny will this conversation be?
I'm not sure how thorny it'll be for President Trump, because he doesn't seem to really, see U.S. interests in Syria, and as we all know, as mentioned, potentially pulling out of Syria. But I think the behavior by the Russians and Syrians is completely consistent with what they have done in the past. They will do anything to put down any kind of opposition to the Assad regime.